the path of the promise. Samuel had grown up in a home where faith was the foundation of everything. His mother, a woman of prayer, had taught him from a young age to trust in God, read the Bible, and see the divine hand in every detail of life. His father, though more reserved, always supported the family's decisions and faithfully attended church every Sunday. Samuel was the eldest of 3 siblings, and his life revolved around church pews, youth meetings, and nights of worship. But everything changed the day his younger brother, Daniel, died in a car accident. The tragedy shook the family like an earthquake. Samuel, in particular, felt betrayed. He had prayed for his brother's safety, had believed that God would protect him, but Daniel's death left him empty, full of unanswered questions. "Where were you, God?" He cried in his room, sobbing in the darkness. Little by little, he distanced himself from the church, his friends, and eventually his family. He moved to the city, seeking distractions in work and a life that, though busy, was devoid of meaning. Years later, Samuel found himself at a breaking point. He had lost his job, his girlfriend had left him, and worst of all, he felt completely alone. One night, as he wandered aimlessly through the city streets, he decided to run away. He didn't know where he was going, but he needed to escape from everything. He took a random bus and ended up in a small town surrounded by mountains and forests. The place was peaceful, almost magical, and something in the air reminded him of his childhood. There, he met Anna, an elderly woman who lived in a small house at the edge of the forest. Anna had a serene presence, as if she carried a secret no one else knew. Samuel found her sitting on a bench in front of her house, reading a worn-out Bible. At first, he avoided talking to her, but something in her gaze drew him in. Anna invited him to sit down and, without asking him anything, began to speak. "Faith is not believing that God will do what you want, Samuel," she said, as if she already knew his name. "It is trusting that he knows what you need, even when you don't understand." Samuel was startled. How did she know his name? How could she speak with such certainty? Anna smiled and told him her story. She had lost her husband and son in a fire years ago, and for a long time, she had struggled with the same question that tormented Samuel. Why, God? But one day, in the midst of her pain, she had felt a peace that surpassed all understanding. She hadn't received answers, but she had felt a presence that sustained her. "Faith doesn't take away the pain, Samuel," Anna said, "but it gives you the strength to walk through it." Those words echoed in Samuel like a distant memory. Though he wasn't ready to believe again, something inside him began to stir. Anna gave him a place to stay, and in the following days, she invited him to join her daily routines, visiting the sick, helping those in need, and praying for the town. Samuel observed everything with skepticism, but he couldn't deny that there was something special about this woman. One day, Anna handed him a letter. "I need you to take this to a man in the next town," she said. "It's important." Samuel hesitated but agreed. He had nothing better to do, and something in Anna's eyes convinced him that he needed to go. The journey was not easy. Samuel met people who challenged him in ways he had never imagined. In the first town, he met Marcos, a former addict who had found redemption in Christ. Marcos told him how he had hit rock bottom, lost everything, but had been transformed by an encounter with God in a rehab center. "No matter how far you think you are, Samuel," he said, "God is always just one step away." Further along, Samuel met Maria, a mother who had forgiven her son's murderer. "Forgiveness isn't for them," she explained. "It's for you. It's about letting go of the weight of hatred and allowing God to bring justice in his way." Samuel couldn't understand it, but her words made him reflect on his own pain. In another town, he met a pastor who had lost his church in a fire. Sometimes, God allows what we love to be destroyed so that we can build something better, the man told him. This isn't the end, Samuel. It's a new beginning. Each encounter, each story, was like a seed that began to grow in Samuel's heart. Though he still struggled with doubts, he started to feel that something was changing within him. But the greatest test came when a storm destroyed part of the road, leaving him stranded in the middle of nowhere. Once again, Samuel felt abandoned. "Why did you bring me here, God?" he shouted at the sky. "To leave me alone again?" That was when he had an experience that would change his life forever. In the midst of the storm, he saw a light in the distance. It wasn't lightning or a fire, but something that seemed to call him. He followed the light and found shelter in a small cave. There, in the stillness, he felt a presence wrap around him like an embrace. He didn't hear a voice or see a figure, but he knew that God was with him. For the first time in years, Samuel prayed. It wasn't an elaborate prayer, just a cry from his heart. "Help me believe again." The next day, the road was clear, and Samuel continued his journey. When he finally reached his destination, he discovered that the man he was supposed to deliver the letter to was his father, whom he hadn't seen in years. Their reunion was both emotional and painful. His father told him how, after Daniel's death, he had lost his faith, but little by little, he had found peace in God again. "It's not that the pain disappears, son," he said. "It's that you learn to live with it, knowing that God is with you." Samuel returned to Anna's town, but she was no longer there. She had passed away peacefully, leaving him one final letter. In it, Anna wrote, "Samuel, faith is a journey, not a destination. Never stop walking because God is always with you. Now it's your turn to be a light for others." Samuel wept as he read those words, but they were not tears of sorrow. They were tears of gratitude. He decided to stay in the town, helping others and sharing his testimony. He learned that faith is not about having all the answers but about trusting the one who does. And though he still had difficult days, he knew he would never be alone again. Samuel's path was not easy, but it was on that path that he found the greatest promise: the presence of a God who never abandoned him, even when he had abandoned God.